Well, it looks like we've got people coming in. It's 12:02, and I just to get everybody through their lunch hour on time, I want to thank everybody for joining. I am so excited about collaborating with the League of Women Voters. It's such important work that you guys are doing. And however, National Council of Jewish Women can help, we are there for you. Obviously, these are uh, interesting times, and voting has, I can't think in my lifetime, been as important as it is now. So with that, I will kick things off by introducing these two wonderful women. Jill Torbert, she is Jill practiced law in San Antonio for over 30 years. She retired to what she really loved, which is work in the community to make a difference. And she joined the league and its board about 6 years ago, became president of the league 7 months ago. We also have Nicole Lehmann. She's been a member of the league since 2017. And upon her retirement from a career in education in 2023, Nicole began to actively volunteer with the league. She joined the board in January of 24, serving as the co-chair of the newly formed Youth Voter Outreach Committee, which, oh my gosh, what an important role, and acts as a board liaison for all youth-related initiatives of the League of Women Voters of the San Antonio area. So with that, I will turn it over to Jill and at the same time share my other screen so you can kick things off.
Great. Thank you so much, Rhonda. And I will just echo what Rhonda said about the partnership between the National Council of Jewish Women and the League of Women Voters. I truly believe, and I know Rhonda does, that we're all stronger together. And so I hope that this is just a continuing relationship. We began this project on the elections in the winter, did a sort of a primer on the primaries. And so we're going to be continuing with that today. But first, I want to go to the next slide. And
Sorry
whoops,
about that. Yeah, I need to, it is being a little finicky for me. So,
there we
okay,
go.
there we go.
So we are going to be talking about two things primarily: the local elections, and which the election day is May 2nd, and then the primary runoff day, which is May 26th. So again, thank you very much to NCJW for being a grassroots power partner with the League of Women Voter in its Unite and Rise 8.5 campaign. This campaign was kicked off about a year ago and is going to last through the midterm election. The goal is to mobilize 8.5 million voters to make a positive change. And 8.5, you say, well, why is that a magic number? And people have researched former social movements. And if 3.5% of the population take action and mobilize, then positive nonviolent change can happen. And so 3.5% of the American population is 8.5 million voters. So there we have it. So thank you so much, NCJW, for being part of this important campaign. Next slide.
And Jill, this is the right, did I select the right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, okay,
You're right
cool.
on
Cool.
target.
Cool. Yeah. Just checking. Okay, go for it.
Yeah. So just to remind everybody, the league's mission is to encourage informed and active participation of citizens in government. That's by voting, that's by getting informed when you go to the polls, that's knowing who is your representatives, and if possible, go down and listen to them debate issues or decide issues. Also, we work to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and we try to influence public policy through education and advocacy when that is appropriate. Next slide. For 85 years, since the very beginning of the San Antonio League, and 106 years for the National League, we have been proudly nonpartisan. That means that we do not support or endorse candidates or political parties. We do, however, advocate on issues such as voting rights. Next slide. So what are we going to be talking about today? So we're going to highlight the upcoming election in May, and early voting actually starts today. So this is very, very timely. We're going to talk about where to locate information that will be on your ballot, both the candidates and the issues. Then we're going to change our focus a little bit to the primary elections, which are still going on. They won't be over until the runoffs are over at the end of this month. So we're going to talk about the primary elections, why they are important, and what races and candidates you're going to see on your runoff ballot, and how to get information about those candidates, and then how to make an impact. And I am turning this program over to Nicole, and she's going to take it through our local elections.
All right. Thank you, Jill. So, as Jill mentioned, May is, as if it's not a busy enough month, we have not one, but two elections that we have to remember are happening in May. So, our first is, as Jill mentions, early voting is starting today, so April 20th, running through next Tuesday, the 28th, with a day off for Battle of Flowers on Friday. But that's our early voting period. And then Saturday, May 2nd is that election day. Now, these are our local elections that are affecting municipalities. So, any of our smaller little towns and cities that are within Bexar County that are not City of San Antonio, many of them, not all of them, but many of them have elections happening for their city council positions, some propositions, and I'll show those in a minute. We have some school districts that have some trustees that are being elected, and also, again, some bond issues. So, and then we also have Alamo College's district. So all of that's happening May 2nd. And then, as Jill mentioned, those runoffs from our March primaries, both parties, both the Republican and the Democratic parties, have several races that have come to a runoff. And that specific date is a Tuesday, May 26th. And it has a much smaller early voting period, unfortunately. It is a Monday through Friday, May 18th through 22nd. Also important to note that Monday, May 25th, is Memorial Day. So if you are thinking you want to wait until election day, just really consider what your Memorial Day plans are. We always encourage early voting, and that is definitely the case for that particular election. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So here we have our list of municipalities that are having these elections coming up May 2nd. And you will see that we have either one asterisk or two. The single asterisks are for just your leadership position. So it could be a council member, a mayor, maybe several council members. If you see the two asterisks, then there are some propositions as well. All right, so why are these elections of particular importance? Well, I think that really the way that we as citizens can most directly impact our day-to-day lives is through voting in our local elections. We see that we have issues that affect us directly and our families, our quality of life, and our community as a whole. And I think I actually live in one of these municipalities, and I think about some of the local issues that are hot topics where I am that are really bringing people out. We're having, meet the candidate events. We're having a lot of publications distributed from all of the candidates and where they stand on the issues that they know are most important to us in our community. So, what are some of those? We can look at the next slide. So these are, mostly you think about budget and, and obviously the taxation that's associated with it. And really, what should the spending priorities be? These should be coming from you. And your elected officials should be the ones then listening to you and saying, oh, yes, okay, I see that the community is mostly concerned about, maybe these top three issues. Those are where they should be prioritizing their funding and their attention. So not only are you influencing them by selecting them as the candidates, right? Because they're standing on a particular platform, and you are acknowledging by giving them your vote that you support whatever it is that are the priorities they're talking about. But also, once they are elected into office, there is kind of that next level of civic engagement that after you have the vote, that you are involved. You reach out to your representatives. And again, it's so much easier at the local level than sometimes we feel when we're trying to call maybe some state representatives or senators or our US representatives. It feels harder to kind of get in touch with them. It's much easier to communicate with your local officials about your concerns. So obviously, we encourage that after our election passes. So some of the other issues would be just the transportation, your kind of local public safety. A lot of these communities have, fire and police and everything that they are supporting as well. You think about sidewalks, bike lanes, all of those are going to be more local. Okay, now next slide. Thank you. Okay, so then in addition to those municipalities, so maybe for you, you're in the city of San Antonio. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a good reminder that that happens when we have our elections in San Antonio, but I don't have anything on my ballot. Well, you might have your school district. So next we need to look at that. We have 4 districts who have some trustee positions that have come up. So you can see them there: Alamo Heights, Medina Valley, Northeast and Southwest ISDs all have some trustee positions coming up. And there is an important bond election, and there are multiple items to vote on for bonds for the Schertz Cibolo Universal City ISD, which of course we know is growing very rapidly. So that is of utmost importance to people in that community. We also see here we have only one district, District 9, that is a position for a trustee that's up for our Alamo Colleges district. And the way that you can tell if you are in this district or not is one of 2 ways. If you have received your new card, I have my card. It's real. This is the new one. They're finally arriving. So you can check your card. I have 8 little boxes. My bottom right corner box has my district number, and I see that I am actually in District 7. So this, I will not be voting for this one. There are several of these districts that are just have people running unopposed. So that's why we're not actually holding an election for them. If you did not get your card yet, do not fear. They are slowly moving those out and getting those out into the mail. But the reality is, you do not need to bring your card when you go to vote. What they are looking at is a government issued photo ID and then just confirmation of your address. So I know it's comforting, it's fun to have it in hand, but you do not actually need the physical card. But the card is one place where if you do have it, you can see what your Alamo College district is, but also you can check on our Bexar County Elections website, which I will talk about either on the next slide or maybe in a couple. So we can, yes, all right. So, just regarding the school districts, really quickly, some issues that you need to think about when you're considering your trustees in particular are all of the areas that they are making decisions, right? So, budget, of course, is big. But curriculum decisions, we are hearing a lot about what librarians can and cannot have in their school libraries. We have facility decisions that are made. Are districts going to be maintaining all of the schools that they have had? Or are they seeing declining enrollment and wanting to close some of their campuses? You have your educational resources, including some of those, curricular issues. It's the State Board of Education who's laying out, your kind of umbrella of options, but it's your school board who's saying, okay, of those options, this is what we want for our curriculum. And of course, your teacher quality and salaries. Are you having teachers who are certified by the state of Texas in your classroom? Or are they signing off on waivers because maybe they're struggling to find educators to fill those needs? Or, for a variety of reasons. So they are controlling a lot involving our children's educational experience. Next slide, please. Okay, so one thing we always like to point out is just kind of always looking at relative voter turnout. And this slide is it was a little challenging. These are numbers from Bexar County. For whatever reason, 2020 did not have on the historical archives from Bexar County, there just wasn't anything for this version of local election for 2020. So I don't know if that means we skipped it, because remember that was when we were all in the throes of COVID, or if it just wasn't posted. But looking at the percentages is a little tricky because we're looking at percentage of all voters within Bexar County. And so these are, all sorts of different municipalities and different school districts where people may or may not have the opportunity to vote. So I did want to share, just kind of looked at these numbers a little bit differently, and really wanted to focus less on the percentage, which of course the low voter turnout is terrible generally. And I think when Jill discusses our primary runoffs, you'll see that effect, right? Because that's a kind of a pool where we can look at percentages. But what we can look at here instead is actually the impact of a single vote. And I want to share an example from the city of Balcones Heights. In 2024, they had two council place positions that were up, and place two, there were 175 votes cast. 88 votes went to David Sellers, and 87 votes went to Gloria Cantu. One person was that deciding vote for the winner of that particular seat. And again, that's so hyper local. So again, I think that's kind of more of the messaging we want to give for these local elections and how much you can impact them as an individual person. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so there are some ways that you can get information for this upcoming election on May 2nd. We have the Bexar County Elections Department. I know the League is such a trusted resource in our community, and we hold that responsibility very seriously. And we know a lot, but we are not the ultimate decider, right, on all things relating to elections. It's the Bexar County Elections Department. It is each county's election department that is your ultimate final stop if you need information. So when you go to their website, you can look at, if you just kind of scroll down the page, you'll see a generic sample ballot, and then there's an option to click on an individual sample ballot. And when you click on that, what it actually takes you to is your voter registration check. You'll enter your birth date and your house number, and it will pull up a link then to your individual sample ballot based on your address. So if nothing like that is coming up for May 2nd, then that's confirmation that you don't have anything to vote on for this May 2nd election. So that's the best place to look. Once we get past May 2nd, all of that's going to be updated for our primary runoffs. So again, you can always check those sample ballots. Their website is also great for showing our early voting locations and times and everything. So we do have, let me see, I put here 19 early voting locations for this election. And then in terms of resources and places to find out about these candidates, the San Antonio Report does a really nice job of looking at these different candidates. They give them questions and publish those and create little voter guides for you. So we, recommend them as one place to look. You can look at your local municipality and school district's websites for information they may have. And of course, the Express News does a lot of good work too. They obviously endorse candidates. We don't endorse anyone, so we cannot endorse their endorsements. But they're a place that you might want to consult as well. All right, I think I'm turning it back over to Jill. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole. And hopefully we'll have a few minutes for questions and answers at the end of my presentation, and we can ping pong with Nicole as well. So if you've got some questions, just hold them for a few more minutes and we'll get to them. So let's talk about primary elections again. If you were on the webinar in the winter, this may be a little bit of a refresher, but for those of y'all who weren't, this may be the first time you've heard this in a number of years. So what are primary elections? So if you look up the definition of primary, it means chief importance and earliest in time or order. And that's exactly what the primary elections are. They are first in time, and also they are very, very important. And we'll talk about a little bit why they're so important in a slide or two. But the primary elections are where the political parties select their candidates that are going to be on the ballot in November. Next slide. So one of the reasons why they are so important is that few people vote. So you've got people who are really, really interested in the political climate, and they tend to show up in primary elections. And because of the low voter turnout, their voices really sort of are exaggerated, if you will. They get more weight than if more people would show up. And so we are hoping to encourage more and more people to show up. You'll see by this pie chart that in normal years is a very, very small percentage of people who show up in the primaries. Historically, 15% or fewer of Bexar County voters participate in the midterm primaries. However, this year, I'm happy to say that we actually broke through that record. Next slide. So how well did Bexar County do? So you'll see at the very bottom, this year in March, the turnout was 22.5%. So we really did a nice jump in how many people went out to the polls. And I thought I would show you the statistics because it's sort of fun just to see where the increase really was. So if you look between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and you start at the far left, you'll see that there was about twice as many Democrats or people who it's not even fair to say that they're Democrats because in Texas, you don't have to pick a party, but twice as many voted with the Democratic ballot as did the Republicans. So the totals were about twice as many voted in the Democratic Party as Republicans. And that sort of holds true across the board. So if you look at election day and absentee or vote by mail, as some of us call it, and even early voting, you see that that trend stayed true throughout. Even during early voting, there was more than twice as many Democratic Party voters as the Republican ballot holders. So that trend is a very important trend, and we certainly hope that that is continuing. And it's sort of a trend that started in the fall as well. Y'all may remember that we had a higher than normal turnout for the November election. So let's keep the steam rolling. Next slide. So just a little civics lesson 101. We have primary elections every 2 years. So there is a primary when the president is running, and then 2 years later, what we call midterm, because it's midterm of the president's term, we also have a primary election. So every 2 years, there's a primary. In Texas, it is held in March, but primaries are held at different time of the year, depending upon what state you live in. Some of them have them, I think, as late as August. So you'll hear when you listen to the news, different states holding their primaries. There's not one day universal around the United States where all primaries occur. Next slide. Okay, we're going to keep repeating this so that you don't forget. Early voting starts May 18th. There's only a few days for the primary runoff for early voting. So that's May 18th through the 22nd. And as Nicole pointed out, Election Day is May 26th, the day after Memorial Day. I didn't even realize that until Nicole said that. So if you want to vote by mail, if you are 65 years of age, you're going to be out of town, or there's several other reasons that you may need to vote by mail, you must apply this year. You have to apply every year, and you have to apply by May 16th. Your application must be received at the Bexar County Elections Department by May 16th. Now, if you voted in the March primary, you will need to vote in the same party that you voted in March. And this is really important, if somehow you did not vote in March, you can still jump in and vote in May. Okay, so it doesn't require that you somehow vote, that you voted in March. You can jump in and vote in the runoff. Next slide. Okay, so who is going to be on the ballot? This is really important. I'm sort of surprised. I don't listen to the local news or even the commercial news, so I don't hear a lot of ads. So I don't hear a lot about the runoff candidates. So I'm actually going to read these names because I think it's really important that we start hearing these names so that we know who the candidates are. But there are runoffs in both the Republican Party and the Democrat. And we're going to flip back to the Democrats here in a minute. But in the Senate race, John Cornyn and Ken Paxton are in the runoff. In United States House District 35, which is a new district, and it runs south and east of Bexar County, or South Bexar County, and into, I want to say, Guadalupe County, and a little east of Bexar County, we have Carlos de la Cruz and John Lujan. Texas Attorney General, Mays Middleton and Chip Roy. Texas Railroad Commissioner, Beau French and Jim Wright. Judge for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 3, Allison Fox and Thomas Smith. Then there is one race for the Texas State Senate District 19 where there is a runoff, and that is between Marcus Cardenas and Robert Marks Jr. Next slide. Now, on the Democrat side, we have Also, same district, U.S. House District 35. So we have both Republicans and Democrats in runoffs in this particular district, and that is between Maureen Galindo and Johnny C. Garcia. Texas Lieutenant Governor Vicki Goodwin and Marcus Isaias Velez. Texas Attorney General Nathan Johnson and Joe Jaworski. Then for Texas Legislature, State Representative District 125, there's Adrian Reyna and Michelle Vela. Next slide. Then there's still a few more races on the Democratic side where there are runoffs, and these are all very local races. So Bexar County District Attorney, there is a runoff race between Luz Elena Chapa and Jane Davis. County Court at Law number 10, Cesar Garcia and Shannon Salmon. District Clerk Chris Castillo and Gloria Martinez, and County Clerk Cynthia Castro and Lucy Adame Clark. So I don't want people to think that the primary is over and they can just head to the summer. We still have this very important issues to decide. So please mark your calendar, circle the dates we've talked about, and stay in the race. Next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about why these positions that we still have to decide are so important. So the U.S. House and the Senate, which we still have races that need to be decided, these elected officials make laws that really, really affect us. They raise revenue, and they appropriate how those funds will be used. They regulate commerce among the states and with other nations. They declare war and maintain and regulate the military. And this is really important, and it's going to be here before we know it, they direct the census every 10 years. And remember, the census is not just a count of people. It is that, but that data has a particular importance as to how resources are going to be allocated. Then the Senate, as you know, is so important because one of their exclusive powers is to advise and consent on presidential nominations to the executive and judicial offices. So every federal judge has to go through the confirmation process in the Senate. That's from the district judge here in Bexar County to who sits on the Supreme Court. And so we really, really need to pay attention to who the senators are. Next slide. Then for statewide offices, the lieutenant governor is really so very, very powerful because of their position as president of the Senate. And they appoint the chairs and vice chairs of committees, and they appoint senators to committees, and they assign bills to committee. I think the Texas legislature is very hard to understand how it works. But if you're interested in certain bills, you come to understand how important committees are, and especially like the calendar committee. Because if some bill that you are interested in never gets calendared to be heard by the legislative bodies, you can kiss that bill goodbye. It will never see sunshine. And so appointing chairs to committees is very, very powerful. So lieutenant governor is not like, an assistant governor. It's not a governor in waiting. It is somebody who has real power. An attorney general is very, very important as well. They are the chief law enforcement officer of the state, and you hardly can pick up a paper without finding an article about the attorney general suing somebody or something. They sue cities and municipalities as well as people and other entities. So they are also a very, very important office. Next slide. Now, the Railroad Commissioner, this is a misnomer by all means. It is a 3-member Texas Railroad Commission that has nothing to do with railroads. It governs the oil and gas industry. And as I don't need to tell you, in Texas, oil and gas is king, and we should pay more attention to that industry and who is running the show there. So Railroad Commissioner is very important. We have one position that's in the runoff for the Court of Criminal Appeals, and that is the highest court that hears criminal cases in Texas. And I've already spoken to the importance of the Texas legislators. Okay, next slide. District Attorney. As you may know, the district attorney is the local highest law enforcement who investigates criminal cases and decides which cases will be prosecuted. They also, not only do they deal with felony and misdemeanors, but they also deal with many of the issues dealing with removing children from abusive households. County Court at Law, many people think that they are a small court and so that they don't matter, but actually sometime back their jurisdiction was changed, and so that they hear large cases in terms of jurisdiction where a lot of money is in dispute. And then on the criminal side, they do hear criminal cases, but do not hear felony cases. The district and the county clerk are important because they sort of facilitate how the courts are run, and also they keep track of many of the important documents such as deeds and marriage license and other public records that we all want access to sometime in our life. You don't get through life without somehow dealing with the county clerk's office or the district clerk's office because of death certificates, birth certificates, marriage license, and deeds. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so where do you find information about these races? So I am proud to say that the League of Women Voters is publishing a runoff voters guide. So we have condensed the March guide down to just the races that you may see on your ballot. That will be in the libraries right after the municipal election. So May 4th and 5th, we should have these delivered to the libraries. And we will have a PDF on our website. And of course, Vote 411 will be live. The other thing I want to mention is that we are going to be hosting 2 forums, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but that's just going to be another really good place to find out some information about who the candidates are. And as Nicole already mentioned, the newspapers are doing a good job of talking about some of these races. The Express News does endorse people. We do not endorse their endorsements, but they have been publishing some information about these local races. Texas Tribune and SA Reports are also good sources. And of course, Texas Public Radio also has been covering some of these races. And don't forget just to do a Google search. If you can't find anything about one of your candidates, put them in LinkedIn or do a Google search and just find out a little bit of information if their names ever popped up in the newspaper, or you might be able to find some mention of them in some other place. So like I said, the league will have the information available for the races that I have talked about, and some of those other local races. You can find out something about the candidates simply by Googling them, or the other news medias have covered them. So let's talk about what you can do to sort of help those very, very dismal numbers that Nicole showed. One is for you to make sure that you vote. That's hyper important, is you go vote. And secondly, take somebody else with you if you can. But, just talking about the fact that elections are going on to your family or with your friends can make a huge difference. Peer pressure is an amazing thing, and it works with voting as well. And sometimes people just need sort of that, little nudge. And so make that a conversation that you bring up when you take somebody to coffee or lunch, or you're just talking to them on the phone. You can remind them, oh, don't forget, this week is early voting in the municipal elections. So a family and friend level is important. And then on a community level, there's so many organizations like the National Council of Jewish Women, the League of Women Voters, where we are trying to really move the needle on a large scale, and all of us can always use more help. So next slide, please. So just to expand these ideas a little bit. So the League does have election reminders, and I think Nicole is going to add in the chat a link to where you can sign up for election reminders. That's important not only for you to be reminded, but also you can, when you get emails from the League, which we will only use your information if you sign up for a reminder to send you a reminder, you can forward those reminders to your friends and family. So that's very important. And Nicole has added that link to the chat.
Although I'm not sure it went to everyone. So we'll check on that at the end if it didn't go to all participants.
Okay. And then again, on a personal level, just make sure that you are informed about the candidates. Next slide. And then on a family level, if somebody needs help with a mail-in ballot application or needs you to pick, yeah, I can't say that because they won't allow you to pick up an application for somebody else. But if they need help knowing where to find a mail-in ballot application, take somebody to the polls with you. Pick up a voter's guide for somebody. Teach them about Vote for 1-1 or the League's PDF voter's guide, which will be on our website. All of these are ways that you can turn maybe a reluctant voter or a sometime voter or a presidential voter into somebody who habitually votes. And that's really what we need. Democracy works best when everybody shows up every single election. Next slide. And if you're still wanting more, you can become a volunteer deputy registrar, which means that you can go out and actually register people at events. Organizations like the League need people that will help us with forums and host candidates meet and greet. There's always so much work that can be done in defending democracy. So we hope that you'll find something that excites you and you can get involved with. Next slide. So we also want to remind you that at no matter what level of involvement, please check your voter registration and check it now and before you go vote, because you don't want to get to the polls on election day or during early voting and find out that there's some hiccup that you need to fix and you've got this long line behind you. So if you go during early voting, hopefully there won't be a long line. We always encourage people to go during early voting, but certainly we don't want you to get to the polls and there be any kind of problem. So next slide. So with that, I want to thank you so much for participating in Democracy by Voting. And I want to show you one other slide, two more slides. There's our website, LWVSA.org, which has a lot of information about the upcoming elections. There's a section at the very top of our homepage about the local May 2nd races. And then there's also information about the runoff. And that's where we'll have the PDFs here in a few days of the runoff election. But I did want to talk to you about the two forums. And here is information about the two forums that we will be hosting the first and second week of May after the local elections. So we encourage everybody to come to those. Everybody in Bexar County will be voting for the Democrat, excuse me, not everybody. If you are voting in the Democratic primary or the runoff, you will see the DA race on your ballot. And only those people who live in District 35 will see the U.S. House representatives, Maureen Galindo and Johnny Garcia, who are running for that office. The reason why I just want to mention why you see only these two Democratic candidate forms. On the DA side, there is a Republican who is running for that office, but she was unopposed. And on the U.S. House of Representative side, as I mentioned earlier, there is both a runoff in the Republican and the Democratic parties, but we were not able to get both of the Republican Party, of the Republican candidates to agree. Only one of them agreed to participate in the forum, and the league rule is that we cannot have an empty chair forum. So that's why you see that we're only hosting two forums, and both of them are for the Democratic candidates. So with that, I think we have a few minutes that we can open this up to questions. Nicole, before we open it up, do you have something else you want to say?
No, I just wanted to go ahead and address some that were mentioned earlier. So
Okay.
I can jump into those. So I do want to check. I think our chat is disabled, so that link to sign up for our election reminders, I tried to put in the Q&A area, and I have no idea if that goes to everyone. So if that didn't go to everyone, we need to figure out how to do that. But also just clarification again. So addressing those questions for the Alamo College's trustees, it's positions 4, 8, and 9 that are up during this election cycle. And the incumbents in districts 4 and 8 are running unopposed. So that's why there is no election for them and why we only have the one for District 9. And then our Glenda is actually our wonderful voter services guru here in the League of Women Voters in San Antonio. And she did also clarify that our SA report does just have the information on the candidates for those school board positions, not any information for the municipalities. So just wanted to clarify that as well.
Cool. And I was able to put the link into the chat that goes to everyone.
Okay,
So,
perfect. Thank
yeah,
you.
they should be able to. A couple of questions, probably more for you, Nicole. For what kind of things do you guys do to reach out to youth? How do you get the young voters going?
Yes, so we have a variety of ways. We focus mostly on after the high school age, just because there's another organization in town that has been doing the work in our public high schools for over a decade now. They're the Educators Voter Registration Initiative group, and they're underneath the umbrella of Youth Do Vote. So they're taking care of our young people as they're turning 18 and, before they're about to head off in all their different places. But I think where we then fill that gap is, okay, great, maybe you're registered somewhere, but now you've gone off to college or you've got a career somewhere, you've changed your address. Like, how does all this work? And it's unfortunately very confusing in the state of Texas, how to register and how to understand how that all works. So we are on all of the college campuses and university campuses at any events they'll have us at. I just got an email this morning from Trinity University, for example. We're going to come to their orientation days in the summer and make sure that we answer all their questions. We're going to Earth Day events this week at Our Lady of the Lake and at Incarnate Word. So, there are a lot of those kinds of activities we do, but we're also really branching out into our VOTEC schools and trying to find young people where they are. That's really our push for our work. So the most of our work is really that voter registration education piece, making sure that we answer all of their questions and give them the confidence that they need and the information that they need to actually go out and vote. We'll do presentations we've done some Girl Scout troop presentations. We have done some work with charter schools with, again, kind of a presentation and registration format. So really whatever anybody needs, we're happy to help and really just, also focus on the importance of participating. And we know that when you start young, you're going to have a lifelong habit, right? We also run a wonderful youth contest. And so that's written work and art submissions. So information about next year's contest will be coming out relatively soon. And we have for high school and post-high school aged young people who they can win cash prizes and help further their education or whatever they need that money for.
That's awesome. Yeah, and certainly I know a lot of us would love to help in that youth outreach. So if you
Yes,
yes, just let us know.
we would love to
Also,
have you.
one last question. With the interfaith community, does League of Women Voters work closely with the interfaith community at all, or different churches and synagogues and that sort of thing, or is it more separate?
I'll jump in here, and Nicole, you can add to this. Several of our members are very involved in interfaith coalitions, and so sort of through them, we work. They'll bring ideas back to us, or they will reach out and say, "Well, this community would love for us to come out and speak to them." And so, it's not something that we have anybody designated to be working in that community, but certainly a number of our people are very involved in various faiths as well as the interfaith community, and so we hopefully hope our presence is there, but certainly we are welcome to anybody who can get us more connected. I will say, and I'm really excited about this, is Macedonia Baptist Church on the west side is having a Civics 101 program this Wednesday or Thursday later this week, and they have invited the league to participate in that. So and I'm really excited about that, and looking forward to see how it rolls, because I think that might be something that we could really take to other churches and expand upon it. Just to have sort of a program sort of similar to this program,
Sure.
in terms of, here's sort of the basics, the things you'd sort of just need to know to put your toes in the water.
Yeah,
So yeah, so we're there. I don't think there's hardly a place. I can't think of a place offhand that we wouldn't go.
yeah, no, I
Invited.
understand. And so many churches and synagogues have strong youth groups, that are always looking to make inroads into the next phases of their lives. So yeah,
Right.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I do want to add just one thing to what Nicole said, because I think it's a fun little fact, and people tend to get really excited about it, is that Nicole and her cohorts often take voting machines out to their youth events so that the kiddos, or young adults, can get, familiar with what voting looks like and how it feels. And so that is not a barrier. It's not like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Am I going to be embarrassed? Am I going to, are they going to ask me to stand on my head? I don't know. Everything gets so blown up in your head, but no,
Sure.
they're going to know that they walk in and with confidence can work the machine.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, again, on behalf of National Council of Jewish Women, you guys are amazing. Thank you for everything you do. This is, like I said, this is a huge effort. It's so important, and really, really appreciate all the good work. So I guess
Thank you so much,
with
Rhonda, for facilitating this and keeping us rolling.
yeah, there you go. Well, we will have a recording of this posted on the YouTube channel. We'll send out a note to everybody and then anybody who missed it and try to get the word out. But keep on keeping what you're doing. It's excellent work. And thank you everybody for attending and spending your lunch hour with us. And we will talk again soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.